Hey everybody, it's Mike over here at Growtopia. And if you guys are wondering what that is, yes, it is. It is a avocado plant. Now I've had some people actually ask me, have I ever grown avocado plants? Um, yes and no. Yes, we have started them, and no, have they were successful. The reason why is because then I start doing crazy stuff with them, and then they die off. But this one is the current one that we are currently got growing very well. So, how to do it from start to finish is extremely easy. The best thing you really want to do is look for an avocado. My hands are dirty from digging through soil. You want to look for an avocado from the store, preferably like from Whole Foods or an organic store. Um, you want something that's really more organic because you don't want something that's all been treated with all different types of stuff, and then it's not really the greatest thing to get. Um, so basically, how do we do this from start to finish? So the first thing is I look back at my records, and the last time I bought avocados was June 24th, and we were putting slices of avocados on burgers and so on and so forth. So basically, what happened is once you get the avocado, right, you take off the outer skin, and you got the fleshy meat inside. You want to do this very carefully. This is very carefully. You want to make sure you don't pierce the actual avocado pit with a knife. So when you take it off, you want to be very careful. You put a slit, in it on the skin. You peel the skin back, and then now you got the flesh. Carefully now, when the avocados are nice and ripe, you're gonna notice that they're nice and soft like a pillow. You could just literally take your hand and just pop them open very carefully. Even if you do run a knife slowly through the inside, make sure you don't touch the pit. Usually, what I end up doing is I'll take a sharp blade and I'll cut the outer skin, and then I'll take a butter knife and I'll slowly go around on the flesh, and then I just twist it like that to get them apart, and then just basically by hand or with a spoon, just carefully get the avocado off of the pit. Now you could wash them. I would say you want to wash them in cold water, not hot water. You don't want to do too much to the pit because the pit is very sensitive, and sometimes not all pits are created equal. So this might take a couple pits. So best thing I would say is get like a couple organic avocados, set them all up this way, and then they'll start doing this. So how do we get to this stage? So we got the pit out, and it's got a little bit of the avocado flesh that's on it. You can take a couple of toothpicks, and you carefully put the toothpicks about dead center in it, and you want to stick it over a little glass. Basically like kind of like a little whiskey glass like this. So this one, just for example, when you go to put it in, you want it sitting about a little half, so that if this is the water line, the pit is sitting kind of like a little bit below the water line. Nothing crazy. You want to make sure that you constantly change the water about every, basically 2 days, every 3 days. You don't want it to sit for too long, because then what happens is the water will start going bad, and it just seems like it just does nothing wants to grow that way. I've grown celery stalks, I've grown cilantro through it, which is also known as propagating. Um, you can even do basil that way too, and actually you can do tomatoes. And I'm actually going to be shooting a video of that very shortly, because out in the orchard I have a couple of tomato plants that I would love to overwinter, and that's a whole different video about overwintering tomatoes. You sort of kind of can, sort of. It's a gray area. Gray area meaning like bringing certain things in. Like for an example, I know I'm going to transition this really quickly, but I brought in this morning at nice 5 o'clock in the morning my banana tree, and yesterday I repotted it because I started noticing that some of the roots were starting to come out of the top of the pot. So that means it's time for a bigger pot. And I also brought in my lemon and my lime tree as well. So they're sitting inside the nursery right in front of the window, which is great. The rack that was sitting there, we slid over to here. We have a thermometer in here. This room's sitting at 70 right now. We tried putting them in the sun house. The sun house was sitting at 60 at about 11 o'clock last night, which wasn't too bad, but because of Hurricane Helen or Helene or whatever it is that's coming along, you're going to start getting colder temperatures. And yet again, the word tropical, they're not really meant to be sitting in cold temperatures for long, long periods of time. So in they went this morning, because I was looking at the weather and I got, and they go. So anyway, back to the avocado. So once you put those little toothpicks in it and stuff, and you want to be careful, you don't put them in too far, but just enough to get the avocado to balance over above the water. Now what you do is you wait, I think it's about a week or two, could be different, You could store it in a sunny spot. You could leave it in a shady spot. You can put it anywhere. It doesn't really matter. But basically what you're waiting for is the roots to start coming out of the bottom of the avocado. Once you see roots coming out of the bottom of the avocado, that's when you start putting it, that's when you put it into your soil. Now if you can see in here, the avocado that we have, you can see that it's not completely submerged below the soil. So it's sitting like a little bit of the top sticking out of the soil. And that's what we did with it. Now remember, this is like June 25th, so probably the time we started messing around with the avocado, you know, we're looking at maybe like 2 or 3 weeks into it. And once we put it in the soil, then it starts growing. Now it is, what is it? It's September 26th right now. So this is some pretty decent growth. For watering, basically we water it whenever the soil starts to look a little dry. You know, you kind of do your little fingertip test. You put your finger in the soil. You go in there, you put your finger in. If your finger comes out brown, then it doesn't really need water. If your finger comes out dusty, there's no soil sticking to it, then add some water. It's really simple stuff. But this is how you just grow an avocado. It's really simple and easy. I know I don't have another avocado to show you guys, but basically once you get it, you put the toothpicks in, you put it over water. Once the roots once the roots pop out of the bottom of it, you transfer it to a pot with some soil. You water it when it only needs it. You leave it in a sunny spot, and we've been growing this one indoors since, let's see, probably like beginning of July-ish, give or take. So July, August, September. So that's it today for the avocado. Other than that, I do have some other stuff growing on, and I am actually going to be doing an overwintering video in probably a couple weeks. But if you do have a couple things outside that you do want to continue growing for the rest of the season, I'm going to be showing you guys that as well. The things I'm going to be showing is how to overwinter your pepper plants. That's all peppers. That's sweet peppers, bell peppers, jalapeno peppers, serranos, whatever the heck you have. I got something that starts with an M with a bunch of R's. You could do that with eggplant as well. With the peppers, you want to put them into a dormancy so that when the season's right, you put them outside and they're ready to grow. The best reason why you want to overwinter certain plants is because you want to start the season off this size instead of going from a seed and then waiting all those weeks to get it to here. So we're going to be doing peppers. Eggplants you can overwinter as well. You don't have to trim them or anything. You can just bring them inside and they'll grow all winter long with no issues. Tomatoes you can overwinter too. We're going to show you that one. That's kind of like clickbait in a way, because the way I was watching how to do it wasn't bringing in the whole plant. Basically what you do is you cut off a certain section of stem, you clean it, and do the same thing like you do with the avocado. You stick it in water, the roots come out, you stick it into a pot, and ta-da, you got another tomato plant. Very interesting. I'm willing to try it, so don't know if it's going to work. There's something else. I got okra as well. My okra is really small, so I'm going to bring that inside before it turns into a monster, because okra can get up to like 6 to 12 feet tall, so that's coming inside while it's still small. I already got the tropicals inside. I think that's it. Oh, and I'll also be like overwintering, you know, my other stuff like my basil, for an example. So I'm going to move this guy to the side. I'm going to end the video as well. But if you guys remember the trays that I have, and then like my little pots sit nice in the trays. So this is just basically one tray of 6 pots. In each of these pots will have one basil plant, and the basil plants will sit right on the shelf. In here, they'll get the grow lights, etc. They get the watering they need, and then I have fresh basil all throughout the winter. So anyway, guys, that's it for today's video with the avocado. I know I kind of went over a couple different things. But if you're having trouble trying to grow avocados, or you want to start growing avocados, the best thing to do is just simple. Seed, water, plant, watch and enjoy. Water when it needs it, put in a sunny spot inside your house, and before you know it, you'll have a bunch of avocados. So anyway, guys, like, subscribe, share it with your friends and family, and we'll see what we do in the next video. Later.